Okay, so now let's kick start. I think a few of our mates were still having confusion on how to access my videos. So it's just I wanted to show that part first, and then we will start our class. So after my training on Azure, we are doing sessions on performance tuning and interview questions and some other miscellaneous topics, I can say. So these are all the sessions what I took after the Azure training. So Azure training documents are there in that Word doc, what I'm sharing. And this is an Excel sheet where um, I will update whether it is in private mode or public mode, the link and everything. So after my Azure sessions, I don't have anything on Google Drive. Everything is on YouTube. So that is first thing. So some of the things are highlighted here. If it is related to performance tuning, I always do highlight. If it is related to interview questions, I will highlight with red. I will use red color here. So this is how the classes are being aligned after the Azure training. Of course, you get my Azure training along with these sessions and the upcoming sessions as well. I just wanted to give a quick introduction about this. So before we start, mm, and one more thing, I think one of our mates were having trouble in understanding or configuring the tempdb job. So I will show you that also. I think I've shown in the past, but still I'm going to show it one more time. So let's go to our class and let's kickstart that. So this is the script what I shared in our drive, Google Drive, guys. So if you look into this, this is how it looks exactly. There will not be any changes. So it starts with insert into table name and select something into that table name. Okay, this is how it looks initially. So if you are running it on your environments for the first time, you will get an error saying that object not found because I have not created this table. Okay, so if you're running it on your environments for the first time, obviously you will get this error because I didn't share the table structure with you. So if you want table structure and if you're doing it for the first time, what you have to do is, let me drop the table first. Here it is, I think, yeah. So I'm dropping the table. Okay, and I will show you what error you will get. So if I run this now, I'll get an error saying Azure tempdb monitoring object is not there because I didn't share the structure of the table. Obviously, you will get this. So what you have to do if you are doing it for the first time. So if you are doing it for the first time to get the table structure, just comment this line. Okay. And then at the bottom, you just uncomment this line. Okay. Just uncomment the bottom line and comment the starting line. That's it. If you do this, you will get the table structure. Because if I run it now, I have the table, but I don't have any data. So this is how it looks. Okay. So from the next time, if you are deploying, just what you need to do is uncomment that first line and comment the second line, this one, bottom line. That's it. We are done. So now just copy this paste as is and schedule it as a job inside your um, sorry, what is that agent? Yeah, agent. And I've done this many a time. So for the sake of our demos, I'm just showing it for every 10 seconds. But in real time, you can do it for 2 minutes or 3 minutes based on your usage. If you feel that MDB is being used most, and if you wanted to cross-check the queries that are consuming that MDB, you can go with less timelines. In this case, I'm just showing 10 seconds. But if you ask me in real time, somewhere between 2 or 3 minutes, it's fine. Okay, this job will help you to find out which statements is causing the tempdb growth. Okay, so this is the query what I ran last time in my last class. So it was taking 1 minute 27 seconds. And of course, I've rewritten this query without creating the index, and it went fast. Okay, so I will continue from here only. But before I continue, many people were asking me what is this index pool and how it works. So I think few of the people they got back to me and they were asking me, even in their environments, they are seeing some index pools and how to avoid that. The biggest problem with index pool is it won't give you any missing indexations. That is the biggest headache what you get if you have index pools in your execution plans. That is a major headache. So whenever you see index pool in your executions plan, you will never see any suggestion from SQL Server with respect to missing indexes. Okay. So that is the reason I would like to talk first about index pools a bit, and then I will talk about this same query again. Also, the benefit you are going to get is how to use my script. I told you, right? So the script is here. Nothing is happening now. So there is no usage. So once I start once I start running the queries, you will get to know. Okay. So for your kind information, whenever index pools comes into picture, what is index pool? First of all, index pool is nothing but it tries to create an index on the fly and it makes use of tempdb in simple terms. Okay, there is no proper index for our query because of lack of proper index. It creates index. SQL Server creates an index for ourselves to speed this up. Okay, and it creates it on tempdb. It makes use of tempdb when it is creating this index. So if you ask me whether it is good or bad, I will say in most of the cases it is okay. But if you are seeing, for example, in this query, out of 1 minute 27 seconds, 1 minute 26 seconds were spent here. So obviously this is a problem. In such cases, I have to look after for index pools. If not, it's okay. You can leave it and it will work as expected. Again, I'm repeating. What is index pool? Index pool comes into picture whenever you are, SQL Server tries to create an index for you. You have not created that index. So SQL Server itself will try to create an index and that index will make use of tempdb for its creation and its usage. So if you see heavy tempdb usages, definitely you have to look after this index pools also. So this is related to tempdb. Okay, both are interrelated. And the challenge with index pools is they will never show missing index hints. That is second challenge. So
So, Vamsi,
yeah,
so the challenge, what we you were saying, is it is not showing the missing index.
exactly.
The reason behind is why it is not showing, because it will automatically create
Create an
index,
index.
but
Yeah,
inside the tempdb, right?
exactly. Okay, so there is a page if you wanted to read properly on tempdb. Sorry, on hash matches. Oh, sorry, they're not hash match, index pools. So this is the page from Microsoft. Of course, this is very simple example. You will not really understand the real usage. Okay. Can we see the index created by index pool? No, we can't see the index created by index pool. That is not possible. It creates internally. So whatever the statements I'm passing, I'm not passing vaguely. It is from the Microsoft documentation. As you can clearly see, this is tech community. And this is the statement what I pass. Index pools will not trigger a missing index print. It will never help us in identifying that missing indexes. That is a challenge. And also I told you index pools are recreated in each execution. This might result in high resource consumption and tempdb pressure. So if you're having some tempdb issues and in your execution plan, if you're seeing index pools and that is the highest contributor with respect to cost, definitely keep an eye and try to create the right index. So that is what our class is more related to in this session. Okay, any questions before I move on? Just a quick introduction. So just wanted to know if
So
everyone is on the same page. Yeah.
Vamshi, so just because of the index pool existence and the execution plan,
Mhm.
it can lead to tempdb usage, right? tempdb growth.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you will see it practically now.
Mm.
So if you see now, I don't have anything. Let me show you the tempdb usage. So it is 1 GB and nothing is being used. So everything is empty here, the tempdb. Okay. And even my job is running behind the scenes. I scheduled it for every 10 seconds. And right now there is no load. And if you see now, nothing is there. Okay. No object, nothing. So I will try to run. Sorry, I will just mute the guys. If I'm hearing any background. Okay. I'm going to run two queries now. One on Stack Overflow, one on AdventureWorks. So I will start running both the queries and I will show you how you can utilize tempdb consumption job usage also. And also I will show you how the tempdb is getting consumed. So let me trigger this. This is running now. And also this, I will run this. Okay. And now if you see the tempdb usage, how it is getting down. From 1022, it is getting down on all the files simultaneously. If you see, everything is happening simultaneously on all four files. Okay, so it's coming down, coming down. So I think it comes down somewhere to. I didn't run two queries parallelly. I was testing this one after other. So I don't know how much tempdb will it consume. So this is how tempdb gets utilized in your real time with the index pools that are happening inside your execution plans. See, it is running. And the biggest problem when you are facing the challenge with tempdb or in terms of interview is whenever you appear for interviews, I've seen most of the people saying that tempdb, I will clear the what can I say? I will identify the queries using sp who to active or sp who is active. That is fine. If the query is executing, like in our case right now, you can check the queries using SP who is active with respect to sort order on tempdb consumption and all. That is fine. But the problem is if these queries were run and you don't know, and you just came in to your shift or whatever it is, and your manager is asking you to troubleshoot what were the queries that contributed to high tempdb usage. What will you do? Unless if you have monitoring tool, there is no way to figure them out. Okay, I repeat this because I've seen many people, they will say answer straight away saying SP who is active or SP who to active or those DMVs, blah, blah, blah. My question is, it is not happening right now. Understand that it's not happening right now. It happened already. I'm asking you, what are the queries that contributed to high MDB usage? So that is my point. Okay, so you need monitoring for sure, like what I am showing you. Okay, so it is still consuming. I think this takes 2 minutes, 50 seconds or something like that. So let's wait for it to get completed. And if you see now, out of 1 GB, it utilized 200 MB, 200 MB, 200 MB, 200 MB. Totally, we consumed 800 MB, right? Of course, it is still getting used. So let's wait for this query to get completed. In the meanwhile, I will show you my monitoring job that helps you to understand what are the queries that are contributing to high MDB usage. So now you got the queries, right? You got the queries and you can see the space allocated for those queries. Okay, in real time, what you have to do is you have to group by session ID. Okay, if you group by session ID, you will get to know what session consumed the space. Okay, so I'm running two queries parallelly here, right? So as you can see, one is SOD.product and something T.id. Okay, so obviously these two queries were contributing, I know, but in real time, if you wanted to figure out, you have to group by session ID or you have to group by some other thing. Maybe if you're having problems with database, explicit database, you can group by that database and you'll get to know. So this is how you can make use of this script. And if you watch out this script output also, you'll get to know somewhere it took nearly 1 GB. Okay, nearly 1 GB of my tempdb has been utilized. So since that queries got completed, okay, queries got completed, you can clearly see this is 788, 789. Okay, now if I run this, it will be back to the same original consumption, means it got dropped. So SQL Server created an index inside the, I mean, it made use of tempdb for index creation and for doing some certain activities. And after completion, it is back to normal. Okay, so that is what I'm saying. If you're not in the shift and if your manager came and if you ask me, if he asks you like, what are the queries that were contributing to tempdb usage, unless you have monitoring tool, it's not possible to figure out what were the queries. Okay, you have to have certain monitoring in place, like what I'm showing. So now if he asks me saying that what were the queries that were contributing, I can say this guy, SOD.product. So if I group by that session ID, I will get to know it's almost consumed close to 1 GB. Okay. So at least I have certain information with me to talk to my managers. So that is what I'm trying to conclude. First thing. Second thing, in both the queries, I have to see the execution plan. I have index pools. So this is having index pool and sorry. This second query is also having index pool. Okay. I'm having index pools here. Okay. Now, any questions before I troubleshoot how to avoid that index pools? Did you
So
understand?
when
So see,
Okay. Okay. Go one by one.
one
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in this output, even though we only have two queries running in parallel,
Hmm.
so why we are getting like 25, 26 rows in the output? It is
That's what I'm
calculating on
saying.
files.
Every time I'm running it for 10 seconds. I mean, the schedule is for every 10 seconds. So whatever the consumption that happened, it is taking up to that. For example, if I take 56 session, it started with 29 MB and it went to 119 MB and then 202. So it is slowly utilizing my tempdb. So if you ask me, you can go with the max uh, usage for that particular session, 56, and you'll get to know exactly what is that consumption that query has contributed with respect to tempdb. So go with
Okay.
max instead of going with
We
individual
can
queries. If you see 56, 29, 56, 119. So if you wanted how it, see, you can get a graph from this, right? Frankly speaking, you can create a graph at this point of time. I think time also should be recorded somewhere. Yeah. At this point of time, this is what happened. 690 and it's 690. So if you can draw this, you'll get to know exactly, or else you can see based on session ID and take the max of that session ID and you'll get to know exactly what is that session that contributed and how much space it made use of. So this is like okay, at least I have certain information if you don't have monitoring tools. If you have monitoring tools, you don't require this. You can check from your monitoring tools. But this is what I usually make use of in my real time so that I can see what are the queries that contributed to high tempdb usage. Any questions?
So, Vamsi, I have one question.
Mhm.
So, all the files which you are showing, I mean, the size was increasing for data file, not the log file, right?
Nothing. Log file is, see, whenever tempdb issue, it is nothing with log files. It mostly happens with data files only. Okay, it's mostly with data files. 90% is with data files only. Log files is, you'll never see log file in general. All these are happening
Okay.
in the data files.
Maybe because sometimes I don't remember exactly. Log file full
That is
message
very
was
rare
showing for
case. We don't
10
want
Yeah.
to. I will discuss with you if you want. But if you ask me the problem, it is obviously with data files only, not with log files.
Because during the interview, the interviewer was asking if the log file is totally full.
I will
How
come
can
out there. I
you?
will come out there. I will talk that later.
That's why.
So yeah, first we have to concentrate on how I made use of tempdb script to identify the queries and how I scheduled that, how to make use of that, and what is index pool and how to avoid that. So these are the things that we have to focus on currently. Okay. So now coming back to index pools. So how to
Vamsi,
avoid my query? Sorry. Yeah.
sorry, Vamsi, to disturb.
Yeah.
Just basic things. As you said, whenever the index pool is there, missing
Hmm.
index details cannot will not show by the system by
Yeah.
default.
Yeah.
Sometime we used to see the missing indexes by suggestion through the query, right?
If you see on the top, it is showing missing index int, right? Straight
Yes,
away you can see.
correct.
So on the bottom, it
Yes,
is not showing. Even though it made use of tempdb for index creation, it is not showing.
correct. Under what scenario this specific index pool is appearing at that time? Why it is not showing the missing
It
index?
will never show.
Any
That's how it
back?
works. That's what I'm trying to convey is since you have not created the right index, SQL Server itself is creating the index for you. That is why it is not throwing that missing index int.
Yes, I understand that. But any reason behind on it?
I don't know the
Why it
exact
is not?
reason because that's how it works.
Okay.
And if you want the exact reason, probably we have to go through this article to understand in a much deeper manner. Okay,
Sure.
so yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you see here, what they are saying is index pool is an indexed copy of the table that is internally created on tempdb to handle the repetitive operations. Okay, so I don't know. I think the one what I'm going to show you now, it will be very advanced, but I will come to that little later. But before that, let's try to avoid index pools. How to avoid index pools in our real-time scenarios also. If you understand this, you can probably apply the same technique in your environments by going through our execution plans. Okay.
Uh, Vamshi, I have one thing to confirm here. If you go to that output of the tempdb monitoring SQL script,
Yeah.
so we have session IDs plus 56 and 79 here, right?
Yes.
So given both the sessions are completed,
Mhm.
so even the script runs in the behind, it
Mhm.
won't log anything, right? So, but there could be another sessions that gets triggered with the same session ID, right, at a later point. So in which case, how can we
Okay. Okay.
group the
So
group
if
the
if you
things by session ID?
yeah, if that is the case, definitely we can go with plan handle also, right? If you see the plan handle, I will get unique plan handles. If you see here, one is with 7F something, the bottom one is not the case. So if you wanted to group by, you have to group by certain activities to get this information. It's not going to be straightforward. I'm not
Mm,
saying
mm, mm. Yeah.
it will give you the information of what you are looking for. You have to write few more queries to get the required information. So you have to have that unique information. Probably you can group by database, session, and plan handle to see, and then get that information. So I will write those queries later because my main focus is just to show you how to make use of this script and how to avoid index pools for the moment. Yeah, but
Okay.
that is what I have to do in real time also. If I'm having from tempdb issues, definitely I have to do that. No other go.
Maybe we have to filter out the
Yeah, yeah,
volume of data according to a particular time frame, right?
obviously. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's move on. And if you see out of 2 minutes 45 seconds, so the entire time is being spent here. Okay, so it just took 8 seconds for cluster index scan, and after that, everything is happening over here. Okay, so this is the problem, and the similar manner, we have the same stuff. The problem is here. So we have to avoid index pools so that we can speed this up. So how to create an index now is what I'm going to show you. First, I will go with the AdventureWorks, which will be slightly easy compared to other one. So you tell me. So I will tell you the guidelines. I will follow the steps what I will generally make use of. So you can apply the same technique for the other query. Okay. So for this query, I will show you. So if you just keep your mouse on that operator, go to our predicate section. Okay. In the predicate section, check out for the things that it is seeking on. Okay. So if you just concentrate on the bottom part, okay. So they are saying big transaction history dot product ID equal to big product dot product ID. Means we are comparing two tables on product ID. That is first thing, right? So we are comparing product ID on two tables. And then again, it is seeking on transaction date greater than sell start date, some condition. Okay, transaction date greater than sell start date. So we have two seek predicates in our uh, index pool operator, two seek predicates. So if I wanted to create an index, I have to create index on those two columns so that I can avoid this index pool altogether. That is what you should do. You should carefully go through your seek predicate section, get that columns information, and then try to create index on those columns and see if that works. So this is the starting point. Okay, this is just the starting point. That is how you should continue if you wanted to investigate the performance issues. Okay, so what I have to do, again, I will come back. So so big transaction history, it is seeking on product ID, and then big transaction history, it is seeking on transaction date. So I need an index on product ID and transaction date on for the big transaction history table. You may ask me again whether I should create a leading column on product ID or whether I should create leading column on transaction date. Okay, that is the next question that comes naturally. So if at all, if you're having condition like this, okay, one is on equality predicate and the other one is less than, greater than, whatever it is. Whenever you're trying to create an index, you have to keep in our minds the leading column should be on equality predicate, not with the less than or greater than condition. I repeat this, this has to be there in our minds all the time. Whenever you are creating an index, the index should be on equality operator, not on less than or greater than operator. Okay, the leading column should be on equality operator. When I say leading column is nothing but create index name on table name. The leading column is product ID, and then it should be followed by transaction date. So once we create that index pool should not appear for us. And since index is already there, SQL Server has to make use of our index instead of it creating an index for ourselves. Okay.
So, Vamsi, one question.
Yeah.
So if we are in this case, even if that product ID column is not that much selective, still we need to keep it as a leading column.
I will say
Just
yes. I will say yes, because the way SQL works when you have equality and multi conditions, we're checking two conditions. And if that is the case, better I will go with equality as uh, the selectivity column. But again, there are classes for this. So I will show you in the next demo. That is the next demo I'm just preparing. So in this case, I will say go with this principle for the moment. Okay. If you ask me in general, after the next class, I will generalize the things. Just hold your doubt for another, for the next class. Definitely, you should definitely think about that. Please provide the link. I will do that. No problem. So his question is, we have to check about selectivity, right? Selectivity is nothing but in histogram, you'll come to know what is selectivity and all. So I think that is there in our previous classes. I don't want to repeat that. So should I create on product ID or should I create on transaction date, provided if transaction date is highly selective than product ID? That is the question. So if I will create one more demo on that, and then you'll get to know the exact formula that you wanted to go with. So there is no certain formula if you ask me, okay? And if I go with multiple conditions, you will get to know certain things. So just hold it for the next class, till next class. Okay. And now I'm going to create index on product ID and then transaction date and see if that works. I think it is already here, but
See, sometimes we see the residual predicate, then that column we need to include in the index, right?
yeah, we have to include that as part of here instead of the other way. That is there in my previous class, right? Residual predicates, did we discuss that?
Yep.
I think we discussed that. That is a query where in my office in my office environment, that was taking 1 hour, and after creating the right index, it came back to 1 second. It's purely because of residual predicate. Here we didn't get any residual predicate. It's just the seek predicate. Okay. So now I'm not including the actual cost here. Okay. I will just do that little later. I'm just creating on product ID and transaction date as per this output. And let's see, will it help us to overcome that issue? One second, guys. Yeah, it will take certain time. So in the meantime, what you have to do is I'll go to the next scenario. Any questions with this? Leaving out that selectivity stuff. I know that is very important. Apart from that.
Vamshi, if you hover back on that index pool, we analyzed something about predicate, seek predicate, right?
Hmm.
So can you elaborate a bit more, like, on what basis we are choosing the columns here, like leading column and the sequence over there for the next definition?
So if I just keep my mouse, it is saying it is seeking on product ID, right? I don't have index on product ID. Let me show you the indexes first. Big transaction history. If I just do this, I have index on transaction ID only. Before I created this index, I have index only on transaction ID. I don't have index on any other columns. So big transaction history is having index only on transaction ID. And let me show you the big product also. It is having index on product ID. So now if I come over here, you have the index on product ID for the other table. What is the table? Big product. Sorry, big products. Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Big product is the table, and I have index on product ID. So it is already clustered unique primary key. So I don't bother about big product table. I'm worried about big transaction history. So coming to big transaction history, I have product ID that is getting seeked and transaction date that is also getting seeked. So that is the reason I picked up product ID and transaction date. The next question is, what is the leading column, whether it is transaction date or product ID. So that usually SQL, you have to go with equality condition as the first criteria. And the second question is, how about the selectivity? That second question, I will show it up in the next demo, because you have to have certain things before I explain those topics. That is the reason.
Okay. And the reason when you run SP Blitz index on big product table, the big transaction history table, is the index creation is done, right? That's where it is showing 2 rows there on the product ID as well.
SP, one second. Sorry, my baby was asking something. What is it?
No. If you go to the first query window there,
This one?
no,
Or
the
this
first
one?
query
Yeah.
window,
Yeah.
not that one. I would say last one in this case, then, yeah. The one right next to Object Explorer. You have run that SP Blitz index, right, Vamshi?
SP Blitz index. Okay.
Yeah.
SP
So
help
if you,
index. Yeah.
yeah. So the SP help index,
Yeah.
the second query there, it is returning 2 rows, as in the index creation part is done, right, for the second table there.
This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first one is what you created now, right, Vamshi?
The first one is what we just created based on that index pool.
Okay. Yeah.
So since we created, I just wanted to see if it is trying to make use of it or not. So if you see now, even now, it is not using my index. See that twist here. That is why I said it's not going to be that easy. See, even though I created that index, SQL Server is not willing to make use of that index. It is still showing cluster index scan followed by spool. Okay, so that is the reason I'm saying it doesn't come naturally. See this, what is that performance tuning? It doesn't come naturally. There will be several twists and turns. So that comes only by experience. Even now, since we created the right index, it is not making use of my index. So the estimated execution plan is showing cluster index scan followed by eager spool again. So even if I run this now, it has to run quickly, right? But it won't.
See, I think we need to go with the output list as well to include
Exactly.
that in
Exactly. Exactly. So I will, you can see clearly this is running for higher time. I will cancel this. Okay. I will cancel this. And now, if you watch out for that execution plan again, estimated execution plan, there is a section called as output list. Leaving out the seek predicate, there is something also called as output list. In the output list, you are seeing column name as actual cost. You can see that, right? Actual cost. So I am making use of that column to get the max actual cost for any product. So if I am creating that index, I have to make use of actual cost also to be part of my index. Then only it will get you. Otherwise, what you can do is, if you're worried about including all the columns as part of output, there is no other go, unfortunately, in this scenario. So what I have to do is I have to force the index by using index int. So let me force that. I can say with index int. This doesn't happen at all, guys. I'm repeating again. SQL Server Optimizer is smart enough and it will try to make use of our index. But this is an exception scenario I'm throwing at you. So in this scenario, you have to force the index. So don't make use of this index ints in real time, because if something gets changed, it will break up. So I don't like this at all. But in this scenario only, I'm saying just to see if SQL is smart enough to make use of that. So once I added that indexing, all of a sudden it is showing me different plan. Okay. And if I run this query now, it was taking 2 minutes, 35 seconds. Now let's see how much time will it take after index creation. Okay. It came down to 6 seconds. And now if you watch out for the execution plan, I don't have that spool. And now it is showing some missing index hint. And it is asking me to include actual cost for exactly same index what I created. Okay. So that is how optimizer works here. So I think this is for few people, it will be a bit more advanced, but any questions, I'm happy to answer.
So Vamsi, instead of index hint, you could also have used the include of actual cost, right?
See, if I include
When
actual
you
cost, the next question from the people will be, imagine I have 10 columns as part of output list. Will you add all those columns? Just imagine.
no.
Yeah. So we have to think from that perspective. Since here I just wrote actual cost, I can definitely include that. That is not a big challenge, but I am showing you in an exceptional scenarios like this, where SQL Server is not making use of our index, like especially with index pools. So I have to force the index here. So I'm just showing you an exceptional scenario. So I'm again saying I'm not interested in using any index hints. It's not a good practice. But yeah, things like this, scenarios like this, I have to make use of that. That is first thing. Second thing, now SQL started to make use of missing indexings, and it is throwing the missing indexing, saying that create an index with product ID as the leading column and then followed by transaction date, include the actual cost also. This is the exact index what I created, but without including the actual cost. So now if I include that actual cost, it will run in a second. So let me show you. So I wanted to show you how it works also. Okay. So now if you see, the index seek is happening, and then I got the key lookup. Why I got the key lookup? Many people should answer this. I'm expecting an answer.
Because the actual output column is not part of the
Yeah.
index, right,
So if you
Vamshi?
see, if you see the actual cost, just go to that output list in that execution plan. Whatever the columns that are appearing in the output list, for those columns, SQL has to go to the cluster index and get that
Base table.
information.
Yeah.
So here it is actual cost that is missing. So that is the reason SQL Server has to make use of cluster index to get this information. So seek followed by key lookup is nothing but seek is happening on those two columns. Key lookup is nothing but our cluster index only. So it went to the base table and pulled out this actual cost information. So if I add that as part of index definition, then you will not see that what is that? Lookups. Okay, so it takes 46 seconds or so. So once it gets created and once I run that, then it will run instantaneously. So previously it was taking 2 minutes 35 seconds, and we have spools, and it made use of tempdb also, as I've shown this with the help of these queries. And now this, once it gets created, it will be faster. Just wait for it. Once it gets completed, I will take the next one. Yeah.
One question. So what difference it will make even if we are not include, like we'll keep this column in definition itself instead of include. So is there any difference in terms of performance apart from that leaf level pages and size of the index?
Those two things only. With respect to performance, it's very minimal. But with respect to the column section, like if I put that in included section, it only comes up to what is the leaf level pages. It doesn't go up to intermediate or root node. That is first thing. The size of the index will be less compared to this included section. Sorry, the opposite. Included, if you just do included section, you mentioned two things, right? One is the size, the other one is the levels, up to what level my column will be part of. So I think we discussed this in the past. So that is the reason I'm just talking fastly. But if you have the doubt, you can go through the previous videos. Okay, this is done now. 1 second, I'll take your question. And if I run this now, see, now it is 1 second and I will not see that lookups. So I got seek and stream aggregate straight away. I know many of you have not worked in performance tuning. Okay.
Vamsi, where did you add this last part with the
Where did I add the last part? What is that?
Yeah.
I didn't get your question.
include actual cost? Include
Yeah.
actual cost. Okay.
I know many of you are not worked on performance tuning, but it's okay. Like you have to start at certain point, right? So what are the classes, what I'm showing you, it exactly these issues will pop up in your real time for sure. Okay, so I am learning from here only and I'm applying the same concepts on my production systems. So that is why I'm saying try to watch my videos multiple times, especially with performance tuning. You'll get certain idea and try to apply them on your systems. Definitely it will help you to get more confidence when you're dealing with any issues. Okay, so let me move on. Any questions here? Final time with respect to
I
this.
have one question, bro.
Hmm.
So you have created, you have included that hint, right? Index hint.
No, I don't need to now. So if I uncomment it,
Yeah.
okay, and now if I run this, it works. It works instantaneously because as I told you, index pool is such a weird behavior operator where sometimes index will not be used despite of having proper index. Okay, in such case, I made use of this index int. Now I remove this, right? If you want, I can remove also. Doesn't matter. So it will run instantaneously.
Yeah, and one more question, like for testing purpose, when we are having this kind of issues in production, can we add like query level hints?
Yeah, we
Just
can add. You can add. But what I'm suggesting is, imagine you added a query hint. Okay, like what I just added. With ix_test. Someone thought that naming convention is bad and he renamed it. What happens to your query then? It will fail, right? Because that index is not there. You renamed that index from ix_test to proper naming convention. Then you are gone. That index will not be there. And if you run that query, it will fail. So that is the reason. Try to avoid index hints as much as possible because SQL optimizer is good enough to catch up those scenarios. But in some exceptional cases, like what I'm showing, you have to add that. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So just that should be aware by all.
It should be aware by itself. That's what I'm saying. In 99.9 cases, SQL optimizer is smart enough and it will work. But in this scenario, index pool scenario, I've seen in the past, even though I'm having the right index, SQL didn't make use of that. I don't know why. Even today, I don't know why. In those cases, I'm forcing the index only in those cases. Apart from that, I never made use of index hints. I don't like index hints because SQL is good enough. It's good optimizer.
Got it. Thank you.
Vamshi, before we move on, let me ask this quick question. So, going back to the statement, what if the output list contains more columns? In this case, we are going by actual cost column, right?
Yeah,
Given
yeah.
it is only a column being,
Yeah.
So, what could be the solution that we could even think of if the output list contains multiple columns and we ended up with the same behavior, let's say?
If that is an important query and business wants it desperately within fraction of a second or whatever it is, got their timelines, I have to go with that. But I have to inform them saying that I'm going to add 5 columns. But again, I'm saying to you from the beginning, this funda is from Brent Ozer. He always says for any OLTP product, 5 columns should be part of this definition and
Index
5 columns should be
definition
part
on the
of
included
definition.
columns.
So that has to be allowed. Like I've shown one more example in my real time, right? So where I'm getting frequent deadlocks and added few columns to be part of my index definition. So their priority is to avoid deadlocks. So that is what I'm saying. So it's about the end user priority. So if they are saying, I don't bother and that table is not very heavy write table, I will add that index. If it is heavy write table, No, I will say definitely your indexes will hamper your DML operations. So keep an eye. So it is always compromise that needs to be done from speed and their requirements. So there is no definitive answer for that,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, that answers it, Vamsi. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I think Sudhir, right? I'm sure. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
me again. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
No problem. You see, that is what I mean.
We
If you
can
are, yeah,
in that condition we can use the hint, right? That what we created.
yeah, we can make use
If
of
we have
index hint.
if we have more columns in the
Yeah.
output.
So coming back to this example, okay, this is again having some problem over index pool and it's taking most of the time here. So what should be my index to avoid this pool altogether? Okay, so if I go to the mouse, sorry, if I keep my mouse over there, so it is just one table instead of two tables. I just have post table. So it is talking about post table and it is talking about owner user ID, only single column. This is quite easy compared to the previous one. So what should I do? Owner user ID should be there as part of my index definition, right? So how to add owner user ID? Should I create explicit index only on that particular column, or how I should proceed now? Any any comments? I
Can
think
we first
like,
check what are the existing indexes on that particular table, Vamsi?
yeah, first thing is you have to check the indexes. Okay, so let me make use of blitz index because it gives you included column information. The problem here is if I run this now, SP help index, I already have included column here and it's showing me actual cost. But if I just go with SP help index, it will never show you included section. So that is the problem. It only shows up the leading column information. It doesn't show you included section. That is the reason I encourage blitz index. Of course, there are other ways to find out, but very simple is try to make use of blitz index. Even what's her name? Kimberly also has her own scripts where you can find that included column information. So table name equal to post. I think I have to switch the database Stack Overflow. So on the Stack Overflow, I have post type ID and score, and then again owner user ID. If you see here, I have post type ID, score, owner user ID. Okay, I have the index with me, but for some reason SQL is trying to create index on the fly on owner user ID column. And how it is creating, and because we have to understand from where I'm getting this index pool. For that, you have to go to your rightmost operator, which is index scan in our case. So that index is nothing but, see that output list. It is showing me owner user ID, post type ID and score, and the object is ix underscore test. Means it is trying to make use of ix underscore test index. So let's go to the ix underscore test, which is this one. So if you see, I have the post type ID and score, but what I did is I included owner user ID as part of included section, not as the leading column. So it is complaining about that, where this index pool is saying, no boss, I don't like your index. I have to have owner user ID. That is the reason I'm creating index for you. So that is what it is doing. Now you tell me how to get this owner user ID. I already have this index, right? Owner user ID is already part of my index definition, but still SQL is not convinced and it is creating index for us. This is what you will see in real time. That is the reason, even though there are two tables, I've shown this example first and I'm showing this example as the next because this is little tricky.
Should we consider amending the existing index definition by moving that on, I mean, the required column onto the index definition,
Okay, let's do that.
making
Let's
it
do
one
that.
of the leading columns here?
Yeah. So what Sudhir is saying is, so he's saying, why can't you add that column to be part of, what is the table name? I'm post, where post type ID, post type, post type ID, and then score instead of using included section. So let's try with this one as part of included definition only. Okay, with drop existing on. So it will take certain time, I guess, because this is a bigger database. Let's run this. Okay, so I think it takes, I don't know, I forgot that. Probably 1 minute or so. So what Sudhir is suggesting is, instead of having included section, let's go with owner user ID as the index definition itself instead of included section. And let's see if SQL makes use of that. That is the first thing what people is asking me to do. I think I got few pings. Let me check. Covering index will be seen in SP help index. No, you can't see that. SP help index will not show you the covering index details. There is one more article by what's her name? Kimberly Tripp. From there you can see. This is she has written some extended version of SP help index. You can watch it from there. You can get it from there, or else you have to make use of SP blitz index. Okay, this got completed, and now before I run this query, I just wanted to show you the estimated execution plan and see if that index is being used. Still, I am getting index pool. See, still I am not able to use. Um,
I think we need to use owner ID as a leading column.
owner user. So there are two probabilities here. One is owner user ID should be leading column, or there is you may ask me to try. Okay, create just index on owner user ID, separate index on only on owner user ID. Do you think the second statement is right? Means I'm saying the index something like this. Create index name on table just with owner user ID, not any other columns.
Then the concept of narrow index and wider indexes comes into picture, right, Vamshi?
So I'm coming over there. I mean, I'm just having doubts like people what they can think of. So they can think of having index only on owner user ID, right? So SQL is complaining something on owner user ID. So why can't we create index only on owner user ID? Definitely that should be a doubt, right? So that's not how it works, guys. So watch it carefully. Watch it carefully. Again, I'm saying watch it carefully. So seek predicate, what it is seeking on? It is seeking on owner user ID. That's fine. But what it is getting from there? It is getting output list. It is getting me score, right? Just watch that execution plan only, nothing else. Focus on output list and seek predicate. Seek predicate is happening on owner user ID and output list is happening on score. Okay. That means something is preventing it from being used. That index is not getting used for some reason. So what is that some reason? I'll tell you. With the index, what I have, the leading column is on post type ID. Okay. The next leading column is on score. And then finally, I'm getting owner user ID. So the order of columns, that is one more question what I got in our group, right? Does the order of columns matters when I am creating something like this? I think someone posted this question. I answered it also in our group. Now I'm saying it to you. Now I'm showing it to you. Post type ID is fine as a leading column, no doubt about that. But if you see this spool, the spool is happening with owner user ID, and then it after getting the information of owner user ID, it is going to the output list and it's getting the score. So the score is stopping that index from getting used. Means I have three sections here: owner user post type ID, score, owner user ID. So SQL comes here and it goes to the condition. If you see the condition, what I'm doing, I'm checking for post type ID in 1 and 2. It's going out there. It is just checking out for the records where post type ID equal to 1 and 2. And then it is, if you go to the condition, it is checking on owner user ID equal to some condition. But here the problem is I don't have owner user ID as the second column. I am having owner user ID as the third column. So score is there in between owner user ID and post ID. And this column is preventing the SQL server to come over here. So that is the problem. So what I have to do here is I have to create index with post type ID as the leading column and then owner user ID as the second column and then third column as score. Then you will avoid that index pool. Again, I will repeat this. Why can't I create individual index on owner user ID? It doesn't work like that because if you see here, already SQL is trying to make use of my index. What is that index? IX underscore test where I have owner user ID and post type ID. So if I create index only on owner user ID column, it doesn't work at all. It is the worst thing to create. No, that is not how SQL works. Check what index it is trying to make use of and then try to amend changes on the existing index. Don't create index only for that particular column. It won't work here. Okay. The problem here is I am going with owner user ID. I'm seeking on owner user ID and then I'm going to the output list. So score is preventing me to get that seek properly, to happen that seek properly. So if the score is here in the third place and owner user ID should be here, then it works perfectly fine. Okay, just I will interchange the
So
columns.
can we assume that the seek predicate, whatever the column there in the seek predicate, takes precedence over the output list column, right?
Yeah, that is what. That's true. So if I change this query definition, sorry, index definition, just by by twisting that score and owner ID, just flipping those two columns and see what happens. So once that index gets created, and we'll see what happens. This is the exact class what we had in our previous session. I told you to watch my performance tuning again and again, but frankly speaking, people are not watching. Why? Because if you see the content here, the last video, I just got 74 views. We are almost 550 people or 570 whatever it is. I just got 74 as the count. That is why I'm saying watch the performance tuning sessions again and again. Okay. So once this got created, and now if I run this query, before I run, I can check the execution plan. See, I don't see spools now. And if I run this query now, it is instantaneous. Okay, that is how you should solve index spools in your real time. Check out for that seek predicate conditions, and then check out for your output list, and then tweak them accordingly. I'm just giving you guidance that this is just like a starting step. Try to understand the concepts and apply the same thing on your environments. This is just like a starting point. Okay.
Vamsi,
Vamsi,
is
one
it
question. In real time, when actually we are doing some kind of a index cleanups, okay. So just how we did now, we altered some index and we tried with different columns.
Okay.
So we come to know that the existing index is not up to the mark, and we changed some column positioning there. We drop existing, and when the next time the query will execute, so it will check in the cache for that index, but we change the definition, so it will not found something with that particular
No, once
structure. So does
index,
it make a difference?
see, SQL will always try to make use of new index definition. If there is a new index, SQL is smart enough. That's what I'm saying. Apart from exceptional scenarios, what I've shown with respect to index pools, SQL is very much intelligent. And if you create a new index by altering the columns or flipping the columns, it will show. Definitely, it will take that index for sure. So if you want, I can show you up in my next session on the same thing, same topic. Am I audible? Suddenly I got this window. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah.
Yes, Vamsi.
I have one
Yeah,
question.
Vamsi.
Whatever the tweak we did to the existing index definition is, best applicable to the query that we have on the query window, right? At
Exactly.
the same time, it might not be performing, or it might not be relevant for
Other
the
queries.
next other
Other query,
query.
obviously.
So how do we deal it? Like, how do we come up with a solution that should be, acceptable for 99.99 scenarios?
See,
Yeah.
but let's talk frankly now for a second. How many of you are really doing index consolidation or index tuning? Forget about query tuning. That is next part. Just think about index tuning and index consolidation. How many of you are really doing in real time? Unless you get any
Currently, I
performance
have to do.
problem. Okay, yeah, maybe one or two.
Yeah.
Awesome. Unless unless you get any performance issue, you will never go up to index level and fine tune all these queries, right? Let's talk frankly for a second. We are not
Yeah.
Brent Ozars or Kimberly Trips or so and so. We are just
Yeah.
normal DBS. So unless we get any performance issue, we will never go to indexes stuff, and we'll never try to consolidate any indexes. That is first thing. Second thing. So if the problem, if you are getting any performance issue, first I will concentrate on that performance issue. Even that's what I am doing. I am not doing any index consolidation. First, I will try to see if they are having any issues with their performance, especially with index. I will try to work on them. So once that is done, then later I will try to do my work on index consolidation. But the problem here is we are maintaining so many servers. It's not just one or two systems, right? If you take a single DBA now, he has to maintain 40 to 50 servers if I take an average basis.
Yeah.
Will we really get time to go up to this level? I don't think so. Let's
Not
talk.
ideally, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk frankly, because we have to do
That's the problem.
documentation.
That's the problem. Start from.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have to do documentation. We have to do training. You have to upgrade yourselves. You have to do the regular activities, changes, projects, everything. So this is not, frankly speaking, we will not do up to this level. That's what I'm saying. If you are just worried about performance issues, then you will come over here and you'll try to do some indexing stuff. But frankly speaking, if you want, you have to approach, I mean, you can make use of SP Blitz Cache, try to work on IO related queries, try to work on CPU based queries and see the differences with the help of indexes if it made, then I'm happy with that. I will go up to that level. I can't go up beyond that level. Means going through this cycle again and again. This is a repetitive cycle. You have to do index consolidation all the time, because even one row, extra row, if you are getting from the output, that changes the algorithm altogether. So it is up to that level. We are not up to that level. Let's talk honestly. At least if I can do up to this level, we are good DBS, right? If you're getting any performance issue and if you're able to identify that is because of index pools, and if you're able to create right index, okay, you are 70% passed. That's what I can say. I'm honest with my answers. I'm not saying you have to do all this stuff and you have to be something like this. No, that is not the case. At least if you are getting any issue, you should be able to identify where the issue is. That is what I'm focusing right now.
But the problem starts, we don't get the time, like we just patch the things, like we get the issue every day, like even the reporting and every day in, like almost every week. But we say, okay, let's have a look that, but just gone is gone and we never see that again, and some other problem comes in.
Some other comes in and maybe some load changes and maybe something, I mean, for example, the same query, if I flip this to Stack Overflow 2010, which is smaller database, without any index, it runs fastly. I don't have any index now. Okay. Even without any index, this runs in 5 to 6 seconds because the data volume is very less compared to the other database. So imagine a developer or the application team that they remove the data, means they carried out purging or something else. You don't need index in that case, right? On that database. That index might be useful if you're having high data volume. And once they carried out some delete or purge, whatever it is, maybe that index might not be that helpful. That's what I'm saying. In real time, this is a repetitive process and you won't get time up to that level. My intention is, if you're getting any performance issues, how to exactly pinpoint from your execution plans and how to create the right index. That is my agenda. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I
I will
Thank you.
take it. The next question, I think someone was asking me selectivity and with respect to equality and greater than conditions. I need to come up with a session on it. So next session will be on it for sure. And I told you query tuning, what we can do without creating an index. So that is also, I will show you in my next session. I thought of showing you here only. It is already 11 o'clock in India. So I don't want people to waste their time. Yeah.
Sorry, one question.
Yeah.
The index pool is creating the indexes now in background in system. Temporarily it is creating and destroying. Is it possible to get that syntax from trace event or monitoring tool?
No, you won't get it. Even if I run trace, it won't create you. It will not show you that index definition at all. Okay, so even now, if you see here, out of 1 minute 33 seconds, 24 seconds were spent here on index pool. I don't have an index here. This is just 2010 database. If I run it again, probably it will be little faster because the data pages were not in cache. Again, the same problem. So that's what I'm saying. So imagine this database is not that important for the clients. And even without index, it survives. But if it is a very important database, you have to create index. So again, it all depends upon your end user requirements and how much free time you have.
That I understand. Just trying to identify whether this query through the trace
okay,
event
let's do quickly. I'll do quickly now. Okay, let's go to the profiler. I'll show you now in front of you. Let's wait for it. Scroll on one. Okay. I'll go with I think standard is good enough because the events are SQL batch completed, it's batch starting. Okay. Is this good enough? I believe so. Or if you are not happy, I can go with, let's see, tuning. I think these three are the events what I have to concentrate, right? Batch completed, SP statement completed, and RPC completed. Ours is not RPC. It has to be SP statement completed and batch completed. Let's run this. Okay, the trace is happening now. And let's try to create, let's try to run this query and see if that index is getting created. Anything with index creation?
No.
See, these are all MSDB. See, I'm not even filtering. These are all on MSDB. Where is our Stack Overflow?
Yeah, tempdb itself not there.
Yeah, see, got it? That's what I'm saying. So it won't show you. If you want, I can filter it and I can show you that also. I've seen this before.
I can understand. It should be in the tempdb only, as you mentioned, because we are seeing the consumption of the tempdb.
Exactly. It will create on the fly and it will never show you that definition also. So I got only two things with respect to Stack Overflow, and bottom I got two things. That's it. Rest are all MSDB and master. Okay.
It's all happening in the memory level.
Yeah, it happens on the fly without our knowledge, and we'll never witness where the problem is unless you know up to this level. Actually, I thought of showing you something called as rebinds and rewinds and parallel execution, like how many rows are getting fetched. Just I will give a glance. Okay, you have seen something called as rebinds and rewinds, right? At the bottom. Rebind, actual rebind and actual rewind. Rebinds is 1.
Yeah.
Rewinds is 534. I'll talk about that in the upcoming class. And the number of rows, is it equally spreaded across all the threads or not? You will get to know. This is not parallel. That is why you are seeing. If it is any parallel query, you will get to know. Let me show you what I'm trying to convey. 4 threads. I'm going to talk about threads also. So whatever the topics, what I'm dealing, it will be the next level. I can pretty well ensure that guarantee. Okay.
What about that F1? Yeah, what about that select star from F1.year trace event? If this has those information?
Which one? I didn't get you.
There is a trace event.
Trace I closed it, right?
Yeah, trace is we closed. Through the select query also.
No. Trace will not help you to find out that index definition for sure. That I can say that. You will get only these statements only. Okay, guys, I have to leave to get my baby. Any questions, you can ping me on my laptop. Sorry, laptop, not on my laptop. What is that? WhatsApp. Yeah. Some big database, how you clean unnecessary index on that. Next question, index consolidation. It will take a lot of time. Let's first understand the execution plan, important things, and later we can take those questions. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, MC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, MC.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.